Hey everybody, my name is Kalle Slaap, watchmaker from the Netherlands, and today a green coat stream polishing a case back, getting the scratches out, because you probably seen it before. What about those scratches? They are horrible. You can see them, well, on many vintage watches, and it isn't that difficult to get them out and restore the case back. I found this Seiko caseback, just in some old junk we had. But I want to show you step by step what you do. First, clean it. We use an ultrasonic cleaner because if there are grains of sand, of particles in there, and they get caught in the wheel during polishing, you are creating scratches. Really not what we like to do. We've got a fancy ultrasonic machine, but if you just use tap water and a bit of detergent and a soft brush or a nail brush, works a treat. So it can be very in a budget way, you can clean your watch parts. Cheers everybody. I opted for a bit of longer stream. If you got a attention span of a goldfish, watchmaking is probably nothing for you anyway. Hey, a plant in my bowl. Hey, a plant in my bowl. So I'm going to show you the whole process, just because all the little tips and tricks you don't find in any books. So sit back and relax. Takes a few minutes, but I think it's worth it just to get a feel of what we're doing. And we just got a body cam, just figuring it out, and this is the first video I made with a body cam. The actual polishing, first of all, protect your eyes. I've got the one with lenses and works a treat for me, but even those dirt cheap few dollar thingies from the DIY shop, perfect. As you can see, battered and bruised and horrible. Everything in polishing is preparation. Everything. The actual polishing or finishing is just the final 30 seconds. Just out of the screen, but it's getting better in a moment. Just getting use of the body cam. Just got it. Better like this. Preparation is king. And then again, polishing vintage watches is the fastest way to kill the value of your watch if it isn't done properly, but it's the best way to raise the value of a watch when it is done properly. First things first, preparation. There are 4 more videos behind this with all the bit of theory and the machines we use, the wheels we use. But then again, I'm using the Artifacts wheel at the moment here. It is a bit of glistening, if you see it, in the material, and that is aluminium oxide, really hard material. So we are grinding at the moment. A scratch hardly ever is really deep, so you are not removing a lot of material. Microns, no, not even, yeah, just microns. First things first, as you can see with my left hand, that I'm supporting the surface, because you have to push a bit, apply some force, because you want to remove just a bit of material and you want to make it flat. I like to use these wheels. I think they're perfect. Personally, I'm not a fan of these thingies, so small, because you are working too locally. You're creating dents and you want a real nice flat surface for the reflection of the light. Polishing, finishing, all is about reflection of the light. So I'm using a fancy machine. The most important thing is a light source, so you can reflect the light and see if it's nice and shiny, if there are defects. So, and that can be just a spotlight, don't have to be a fancy machine. As you can see, there is suction from the grid below, the white grid, suction, because there is some dust and horribleness coming off from the case backs. If you do it in a well ventilated room, and if you can afford it, the suction is a real treat, so much better for you. Now, step by step by step, I'm removing just a bit of material. You can see me changing direction of the case back, and then you can see where you are actually removing it. So now I'm doing it sideways, then I'm moving it, and then you can see very locally, you see I changed the direction of the case back, and you can see just at the top just where you are working. So if you change direction of the grain, you can see where you are on the surface. I find that really helpful. As you can see, the flat bit of the case back and the slanted sides. The flat bit we give a different finishing in a moment. We are going to do the circular graining. If there are engravings, small numbers, I use a felt tip marker. So when I'm busy with the grinding at the moment, I know what surface to be very careful about. And if there's a scratch through an engraving or the numbers or serial numbers, case numbers, I just leave it. The information on the case back and that authenticity or originality I find so much more important than just a tiny bit of scratch left. We just do what we can. I just removed on the sides, and you can see the wheel I'm using is not straight. So one side has got a bit of a curve. For you, the left side is a bit of a curve, and the right side there is a bit more straight. So you can get into the angles. It will wear itself like this. This is just what I use. Do you see those small angles? And if the sides are straight, you can work very locally, even in between the lines and the engraving. Every single time, reflecting the light, that is the main source of information. And now that side is a bit more slanted, a bit more curved, so I can do a larger area. It is all in the preparation, and I really do hope you enjoy the body cam and a bit more explaining, even though it's a bit of a longer video, not a 50-second short from this is one I prepared earlier, see how easy it is. It isn't that easy, it takes practice, but not on a client's watch. That was the grinding. This is the polishing wheel. What I find is I apply the paste on one side. That side I'm pointing out now is for removing the paste. And just paste on one side. Paste is the active ingredient. The wheel is just transportation. So rub in on, for me, the right side. And then rub out on the other side of the wheel. I find you got so much more control of the polishing if you just use the paste on one side. In the different videos behind this, after this, sorry, there's all the information which paste to use, which wheels to use, what I like. As you can see now, there's a slight scratch still visible. There is no shame, just go back in the grinding, because if it's shiny, all the defects will reflect the light, So your eye will be drawn to the defect. If it's shiny, you can see every single detail, especially with these I use. I just love these. For me, it's getting better result. So, shiny, back to the grinding. If you think it's okay, this is a chamois you use to clean windows. I find it's the natural chamois, so not the ones with all the holes in it, not the natural one. There's a slight bit more there, and just go back. Everything is in preparation. The final polishing is usually the last 30 seconds. I really do mean that. You can use protection for your fingers, either leather or rubber, but for this it is just a bit reflecting the light, just a bit reflecting the light. So it isn't getting that hot, because every single time you just do just a bit and then take it off. If you're really hard pushing, polishing, it is getting really hot. So then you use insulation for your fingers. Just a bit of paste. Again, that is the active ingredient. The wheel is just transportation. One side the actual polishing, and the other side is here the rubbing out. So much more control of the whole process. Not the top yet, just the sides, and as you can see it's right flat and a nice reflection of light. And if you use these, it is just too local and you're creating dents, and it's just like a distortion mirror in a fairground. As you can see, this gives me so much more control. Well, then the top, I wanted to use circular graining because most of the vintage watches have circular graining on top. Originally, this case back had straight graining, and you can see just a bit at the end. So that was the polishing, and then the polishing of the sides, and then the circular graining. This tool we have for years and I just love it, but if you use just that bit of sanding paper, but the back has to be firm. Don't use just sanding paper by hand, but you have to have a firm back. And with this tool, I'll show it in a moment, you can refresh by doing this. You are refreshing the tip. I find that perfect. The tension was a bit too much, so I grinded a bit from the tip, made it a tiny bit shorter, and now the tension is perfect. For circular graining we use this lathe, and just for finishing the case. Oh, sorry, just not visible. In a moment it is, trust me. Because we use this lathe just for finishing, it isn't suited anymore for the real fine lathe work like balance staff or winding stem. It's just this. I'm quite amazed with the quality of the body cam. Quite sharp. The abrasive, just from the inside, pull it back outwards. And if you pull it back outwards, the difference between the flat bit and the sides, even visual, becomes even more, because that is in the other videos as well. Finishing, the real beauty is in contrast. So a shiny bit next to circular graining, straight graining, brushing, and there you can see it. The lines are slightly visible, so if this was for a customer, I would go back to the grinding and then make sure the straight graining is a bit less. but it's just for you to show all the steps in the process of restoring a scratched case back. There it is. And it isn't that difficult, but the preparation, everything is in the preparation. So I'll show you the before again. This is what it just looked like. And it is really scratched and damaged and horrible. You can see slightly the straight graining on the flat bit. Do you see that? And just in a few minutes it looks like this. It isn't really that difficult. You can see just a straight grain through, so I would go back to the flat bit grinding again. But you can see the visual difference between the shiny sides and the circular graining on the top. Just to give you an idea about the steps of restoring a case back. It is all in the preparation. Please have a look at the videos behind this one, after this one, for a bit more theory, because polishing, you can really screw up a vintage watch. If you like this content, even though it's a bit longer, there's a lot of information, please share it on Reddit, Discord, or share it with your watchmaking friends or watch collecting friends. That would really help with the growth of our YouTube channel, Chronoglide. If you have any questions, requests, please let me know. Put them in the comments. I read every single one of them, and I really do hope you try this at home, because it isn't really that difficult if you have just the right amount of information. Watchmaking is the perfect balance between knowledge and skill. So this is the 5th video on polishing and or finishing vintage watches, and I really do hope you enjoyed it. All of you, see ya, bye bye.